measure of intelligence to change. Change signifies a vital commitment to progression. The new National Educational Policy 2020 is one such reform that emphasizes holistic multidisciplinary education for the nation's future stakeholders. It aims to transform and create a dynamic education system.
Hello. Hello.
1 minute, sir. 1 minute.
I thought, I don't know whether the trouble is from my side. I just wanted to check.
No, not from your side.
Yeah, no, I think I got logged out.
Yeah.
Very sorry for the error.
Oh, no problem. No problem.
To continue, as academicians, it is imperative for us to have an out-and-out grasp of NEP 2020 so that we can herald the policy in our institutions in a precise manner. In this regard, the Oxford College of Science has conducted several deliberations on the national education policy for us to understand the fundamental change required in the approach of higher education. And today we have with us an eminent educationist, Professor B. Thimmegowda, who will elaborate on NEP 2020 Karnataka implementation perspective, opportunities and challenges. Professor B. Thimmegowda is the Vice Chairman, Karnataka State Higher Education Council and former Vice Chancellor of Bangalore University and Karnataka State Rural Development and Panchayat Raj University, Gadag. Professor B. Thimmegowda is a member of Task Force on the implementation of NEP 2020 in Karnataka and Chairman of the Subcommittee on Curriculum Reforms in Higher Education. Professor B. Thimmegowda has been a teacher, a researcher, and an academic administrator for 48 years. Prior to joining Bangalore University as its Vice Chancellor in February 2013, Professor Thimmegowda had about 40 years of service in teaching, chemical research, and academic administration at Mangalore University, where he held several academic and administrative positions, including the Acting Vice Chancellorship, Dean, Faculty of Science and Technology, Director, University Science Instrumentation Center, Professor and Chairman, Department of Chemistry, Chairman of Board of Studies in Chemistry, among others. Professor B. Thimmegowda had a first-class academic career with distinctions and ranks. He did his postdoctoral and collaborative research in USA, Germany, and Japan for over 6 years. He was a postdoctoral research fellow during 1980 to 82 at the Hydrocarbon Research Institute, University of Southern California, Los Angeles, USA. Professor Thimmegowda was awarded the prestigious German award, German Humboldt Research Fellowship in 1992 by the Alexander von Humboldt Foundation, Bonn, Germany. During his collaborative research, he has published over 500 joint research publications. In 2008, Professor Thimmegowda was also awarded Tokushima Foundation Research Fellowship of Japan for collaborative research at Tokushima University. Sir has also been awarded with many other prestigious awards, to name a few: Young Scientist Award, Rotary Award for Academic Distinction, Mysore University, Golden Jubilee Science and Technology Award, Lifetime Achievement Award from the Indian Council of Chemists, among others. Professor Thimmegowda has made significant research contributions in the field of structural and physical organic chemistry. He has guided 41 PhD students and published about 700 research papers in peer-reviewed, mostly international journals with a H-index of 31. Professor Gowda has been India's most prolific author in 2009 and 2011. Professor B. Thimmegowda has also worked in various committees of NAC, UGC, MHRD, and KSHEC, such as member of the advisory, executive, and standing committees of NAC, as chairman and member NAC accreditation, re-accreditation committees, member and chairman of several committees of HRD, UGC, and KSHEC, including deemed and private universities and autonomous status review committees. Apart from working as member and chairman of statutory committees in Bangalore, Mangalore, and KSRDPR universities. We are truly honored to host you, sir. I request you to take over this session.
Thank you. Thank you. Namaste. Good afternoon. Thank you for your kind words. I'm extremely grateful to you, the principal, the vice principal, and the faculty and other delegates for this opportunity of interacting with my fellow colleagues. I also thank the management of Oxford's College of Science for this opportunity. And I do not wish to go into the overview, general aspects of National Education Policy 2020, except for saying that the NEP 2020 is for transforming higher education in India, not only higher education, including school education, general education in India. It wants to bring in governance reforms and financing of higher education. It wants to start an era with holistic and multidisciplinary education with technology integration. There will be reimagining teacher education and vocational education, and also the integration of professional education into general education. It will be some sort of revolution or revolution, I might say. What lies ahead in India, for India, Indian higher education? It is to promote quality, research, and innovations. And there will also be internationalization of higher education. Therefore, we must be prepared to face these challenges, this competition. There should be equity, access, equity, and excellence in higher education. And we must also promote, to some extent, Indian pride, Indian way of our education system. Let me go back to the old system. What is the main aim, main objective of higher education, especially with reference to students? It is to prepare holistic, multidisciplinary, employable graduates. Those graduates should be all-rounded, therefore with integrated personality. It is not just enough if you prepare them for employment, you should also prepare them as better citizens of the country with awareness of all the social aspects and those things. And you know, especially in Karnataka, I don't know what you are doing in Oxford Science College. We generally follow three options. Okay, eventually the candidate gets the degree, science or in arts or commerce or management. Except excluding commerce and management in arts and science, eventually one gets the master's degree. Then he or she does research in a narrow field of one of the subjects. Here idea, and also there are compartmentalization of Indian higher education. Therefore, there will be integration of all these things to produce multidisciplinary institutions. Therefore, the first step that we have to move towards to have multidisciplinary institutions. There is nothing like Oxford College of Science. You have to have arts college, commerce college, science college, engineering college, agricultural college, or B.Ed college. All those things you have to group them together as Oxford College. Eventually, it will be an autonomous college or a degree granting autonomous college, and it may reach a stage of becoming an university. Therefore, there will be only three kinds of higher education institutions in India: the research intensive universities, teaching intensive universities, and degree granting autonomous colleges. Therefore, all the affiliated colleges during the next 10 years, they have to get transformed into one of these three categories. They should at least become degree granting autonomous colleges. If they do not, if they cannot, then they would extinguish, they would disappear from the scene, or they have to become part and parcel of the universities or the constituent colleges of the universities. How it will be done? It will be through graded autonomy. Therefore, there will be benchmarks to call it a particular university as research intensive universities, where the emphasis would be on research, but significant teaching will also be done. Then what will be done in teaching intensive universities? There is significant research will also be done in these teaching intensive universities, but the emphasis will be on teaching. But in degree granting autonomous colleges, it will mostly concentrate on new 4 years undergraduate programs. It doesn't mean that they are prevented from doing masters and the PhD programs. They can as well do it, and there are no hard barriers between the research intensive university, teaching intensive university, or teaching intensive universities, degree granting colleges. They are smaller in size. They can as well get transformed into one of the universities category that you have to earn it through graded accreditation. That is, the benchmarks will be set up. The things are going on at the national level. Therefore, you should eventually aim at becoming, to begin with, at least degree granting autonomous colleges in the next few years. It would be still better if you can become a university of one of the categories. Therefore, we have to become active, work in that direction to achieve this. Then how do we do that? Therefore, no compartmentalization. It has to be interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary institutions offering interdisciplinary education. The first thing, you have to become multidisciplinary. The next thing what you have to achieve a minimum student strength of 3,000. Then only it would be economically viable. Therefore, then either two, we used to have undergraduate degree, postgraduate degree, and doctorate degree. Here afterwards, there will be only undergraduate program and graduate program. The MPhil has disappeared from the scene. Eventually, it may so happen the master's degree may lose significance unless one is not willing to do PhD. If one does PhD, one with 4 years degree with research component is directly eligible for a PhD program. Therefore, of course, those who are holding the master's degree are also eligible for research, but there is no need. That is because the coursework we do at the master's degree is more or less what we teach in master's degree. Therefore, you can have an undergraduate degree, then get into PhD program. We call it a graduate program. If you are not willing to continue with a project there, then after there will be 2 semesters coursework, exit after 2 semesters, you with a master's degree. Therefore, how you start the whole program under NEP, you need not have to wait for it. What you have an integrated degree, you offer the undergraduate as well as masters. Okay, you may offer BSc, MSc, you may offer BCom, MCom, you may offer BA, MA in that. After 3 years, undergraduate degree, another 2 years if they complete master degree, they can exit after 2 years. Therefore, what you have to do is bring in the concept of NEP to this 5 years integrated program that you split into either 3+2 or 4+1. Okay, they are interchangeable. And your 3 years of this independent degree, it will be an exit option of 4 years undergraduate honors degree. Or if you have a 3 years degree and 2 years master degree, you can offer this 4 years degree as the exit option of 2 years master's degree. Okay, that is what these permutation combinations, you can do that. In addition to that, there will be exit options after 2 semesters with a certification, and exit option after 2 years with diploma. This is there even in 3 years program. Okay, then you bring in here in the 4 years program, you'll have exit option at the end of first year, second year, and third year as well. Okay, and then 4 years honors degree will be given. The various permutations, combinations will be worked out. What one has to do it, instead of 3 optionals, what you can do is the candidate can specialize, choose a subject, or you may choose 2 subjects, 1 major and 1 minor. One may also choose 1 major and 2 minors. Okay, likewise, this is in addition to compulsory papers on skill enhancement courses and maybe constitution and human rights, maybe environmental studies, and also maybe on a paper on general things, maybe ethics and other things. Okay, and then co-curricular activities, and the language will be retained in all the 4 semesters. But the language you teach in the 3rd and 4th semesters, it should be a functional language. It should be taught as a language, not as a skill. That is skill, I mean, you may improve the vocabulary of the student to do carry out translation, because they give emphasis for education in local language, or you may bring in some sort of general things to introduce the culture, creativity, critical thinking, all those things you using examples, you can do that. Therefore, that is what you have to work out. What are the components of these the 6 semesters in a 3 years undergraduate program, or 8 semesters in 4 years undergraduate program? I would go into the details. Before I do it, I run through certain things, I impress upon certain things, and then you will have 3 years undergraduate degree, 2 years masters, or 4 years undergraduate honors degree, or 1 year's masters. Okay. Then these 4 years undergraduate degree holders with research component in the 4th year will become directly eligible for PhD. Okay. Once they get the PhD, this undergraduate degree and PhD, they would be eligible for a job in the university or colleges. The regulations will be modified. You need not have to worry about it. These things you have to actually bear in mind. The whatever we teach, idea is to produce employable graduates. It is not enough if you produce employable graduates. They have to have all-round personality. That is the reason we say holistic and multidisciplinary undergraduate degree with employable characteristics input. That is what you should aim at. Therefore, whatever that the candidate takes, it should be useful one way or the other, either to improve its all-round personality or it should improve the employability. These things you should always bear in mind. It is student-centered. Therefore, we are moving, transforming from teacher-centric to student-centric. Student will have a lot of freedom into it. He can go in a fast track, he can go in a slow track. What now you know the specification of degrees, 2014 specification of degrees by UGC, that it says what would be the minimum duration, etc., what needs to be taught, and what are the components of undergraduate degrees, master's degrees, etc. Instead, in place of it, there will be a national higher education qualification framework. It will only prescribe how many credits one has to earn to get a degree, 4 years degree in a discipline, I mean in a subject. The rest of it, this will not be more than about 50% of the credits the candidate has to earn. Remaining 50%, the candidate is free to do that. Then it need not have to be everything on offline, class, interaction in the campuses. Up to 40% candidate can take online courses. Therefore, you will have all the freedom. Therefore, unless we, the teachers, are competitive, the student may not opt for our courses. Therefore, it is the question of our survival. Therefore, we have to improve ourselves. We have to continue to treat ourselves students throughout the academic career, professional career. Otherwise, we become obsolete, irrelevant. Therefore, once we do it, unless we are competitive, the stage a day may come in where our colleges become almost like the schools in villages. They are disappearing. Therefore, we also disappear. Therefore, we have to be very competitive. Therefore, a candidate will have lot of flexibility, a lot of freedom to choose this. Therefore, we have to gradually get used to it. Okay. Therefore, then with this background, I run through my PPT. I think you would allow me to make a presentation. You have to maybe you have to remove that. You have disabled me screen sharing. I want to share the screen. You may have to allow me.
Prakash sir, can you please allow sir to share the screen?
You have to allow. Yeah, somebody. Yeah. Now it says host disabled screen sharing. I have that message before me.
Prakash sir? Prakash sir, can you hear me?
Hello.
Yes, Deepti, we are making him
Okay,
that
okay,
option.
okay, okay, ma'am. Sir, 2 minutes, sir.
Yeah, no problem.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is done. Now he can share the screen.
Okay, ma.
Yes, yes,
Can
Deepti,
you
tell
see
me.
that?
Yes, it's visible, sir. It's visible.
Yeah, can you see this?
Yes, sir. It's visible, sir.
Yeah, okay, then. This is about Karnataka education scene, etc. The task force was constituted and they have submitted the report.
Oh, by default to the mic from.
Yeah, based on which the implementation plan has been worked out, etc. Therefore, uh, we are in the process of consulting stakeholders to finalize the general framework for undergraduate as well as master's programs. That is what it is. Let me not go into the details. There will be reorganization of Karnataka State Higher Education Council. Just for information, I want to tell you there will be Karnataka Shiksha Ayog in Karnataka with Chief Minister as the chairperson. Higher Education Minister and School Education Minister will be the vice chairperson. School education structure would also change. Higher education structure would also change. School education structure would be more or less like this. Let us not worry about it to carry out different functions. Then there will be Karnataka Higher Education Commission or Council. There will be three bodies, one dealing with council regulation, other dealing with grants, so the third one dealing with research and innovation. And there will be new Karnataka State, in place of Karnataka State Universities Act, there will be Karnataka State Higher Education Institutions Act. It will encompass the private public universities and all autonomous and affiliating colleges. Therefore, the grant era upwards depends on the institutional development plan. Therefore, you should concentrate on preparing institutional development plan. If it is very strong, you could get grants. It will not depend on whether it is private or public. It will depend on how strong is your institutional development plan. And there will be reorganization of all the administrative bodies. The board of governors would replace the syndicates of the universities and also the management. You may have board of governors. There will also be a board of management and academic council, etc. And in the empowering in the affiliated universities, universities have to empower the affiliated and autonomous colleges. They have to mentor them, they have to guide them, help them, encourage them, so that they become degree granting autonomous colleges through graded accreditation. They have to get accreditation through get graded autonomy through graded accreditation. There will be scholarships, etc. A special education zone like Hyderabad, Karnataka area, and other things. And what are these various uh, verticals of Karnataka State Higher Education Council under NEP? What are their functions and other things I have described? Those things may not be very important for you. How this school system works, it has relevance to us because we have to prepare teachers for all the four stages of school education. That is foundation, preparatory, middle, and secondary. Therefore, after 10 years, by 2030, the minimum qualification for a teacher to teach even at the early stage, early childhood care and education, would be 4 years honors degree in education. Therefore, that is where the universities and the colleges have to play an important role in producing and training better teachers. Only when we give a strong foundation, then we get better inputs to higher education, then our output would be better. That is where our role is also. And therefore, as I've already told you here, no compulsory that you have to have a 4 years degree. You can have either 3 years or 4 years degree, but in all these, in both the streams, you have to have this exit option after first year and second year. It doesn't mean that they go away after 2 semesters or 4 semesters with the certificate and diploma. Because of compulsions, our daughters may get married, or our boys may have some financial complications, difficulties. Then they may exit and come back. There is no time limit. They can re-enter anytime at the exit point, continue with the exiting system. Therefore, you can have 3 years undergraduate, 2 years masters, or 4 years bachelor degree program with honors degree, and 1 year's masters. Revised eligibility criteria for PhD. Therefore, NEP 2020 brings about the drastic changes in higher education system. Students enjoy flexible education options such as 3 year or 4 years multidisciplinary bachelor's degree, 1 year master's degree. Therefore, I wish to reiterate, 4 years degree program is not mandatory, but these programs will be preferable options because it is in line with global pattern with a research component. Then only the candidate becomes eligible with the undergraduate degree directly to the PhD program. And also the language will also be there in all the first 4 semesters, but different for orientation. Therefore, our language teaching, it has to be reoriented itself. Therefore, it should be student friendly. It should be useful to the student. Therefore, our higher education landscape is shifting towards in the higher education institution, that is towards producing employable graduates to feed national prosperity in the emerging knowledge economy. We need to consider how we enhance general graduate capabilities as well as the disciplinary expertise of our undergraduate students. Disciplinary expertise, I mean subject expertise. We have to make right decisions about our curriculum content, co-curricular activities, and pedagogies, and the nature and use of learning spaces. Okay, our graduates should possess the knowledge, skill, and values to enable them to cope with dynamic employment opportunities. They must also understand the benefits and constraints of their disciplinary perspectives. Therefore, if he becomes an expert without knowing other aspects of life, it will be like a fish out of water. That should not happen. Therefore, all-rounded personality graduate has to be produced with employable skills. That is the motto, that is the main objective. What are the graduate attributes? These things, if you are from an engineering background, you know, Washington Accord, they use it as the graduate attributes. They are formally using them in engineering education, professional education. Although in general education, we use them informally, we have not formalized them. That is what we have to do it. Therefore, we have to use employability, helping to develop academic, citizenship, and career competencies. Therefore, what are these graduate attributes? They are orientating framework of educational outcomes that graduates should develop on completing their studies successfully. If he comes out with a degree, means he must have a right approach, employable skills. He must really be a true citizen of the country. That is what we have to do it. What are some common graduate attributes? They include the critical thinking skills. Therefore, you have to inculcate intellectual curiosity, analytical reasoning, problem solving, and reflective judgment, application of knowledge, effective communication, leadership and teamwork skills, research and inquiry skills, information literacy, digital literacy. These things, your degree should bring in all these concepts. Okay, now overview of these things you have to give. In addition to that, they must also have personal attributes such as self-awareness, self-confidence, personal autonomy, self-reliance, flexibility, and creativity. And in addition to it, is not just enough if you have critical thinking skills and personal attributes. They should also have personal values such as ethical, moral, and social responsibility, integrity, and cross-cultural awareness. Ours is a country, unity in diversity. Okay, therefore, that is where we must appreciate the other religions. Okay, you must aware of it. Therefore, we get respect when we respect others. That's what we have to teach them. Therefore, in order to deliver all these concepts, we must be capable of delivering. To what extent we are capable, it depends on this to deliver these things effectively to our youth. Therefore, should be a transformation from teacher focused to learner focused activities. That is from passive to participatory pedagogies. Therefore, this would be a transformational change that we have to accept. Then what is that we have to have in our structure? Imaginative and flexible curricular structure. Therefore, the institution will have complete freedom. The teacher will have complete freedom to teach youth the pedagogy. As long as it is useful to the student, as long as he produces a graduate, all-round personality graduate with employable skills. Okay. Therefore, imaginative and flexible curricular structure you have to promote. Then students will have no restriction on entry and exit option, as I have already indicated. The universities and colleges shall introduce interesting course options to students apart from mandatory specialization in a subject. This specialization comes, although candidate may choose a subject in the beginning of the program, he can choose two and go up to third year, then choose one of them. Then I will go to that option. I will talk about it. Okay, then you must integrate art stream with STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Therefore, such practice, integration of art stream with STEM, this practice would increase creativity and innovation, problem solving abilities, higher order thinking skills, communication skills, teamwork, social and moral awareness. Therefore, there should be some 2 credit course, compulsory mandatory courses in first and second year of the course social and moral awareness. In-depth learning, flexible and innovative curricula, they should include all these. Okay. Then according to NEP 2020, certain aspects of traditional education must also be brought back because of the relevance in 21st century education. Education is a combination of knowledge of 64 arts, Therefore, 64 arts not only include subjects such as singing and painting, scientific fields such as mathematics and chemistry, also include vocational fields such as carpentry and clothes making, professional fields such as engineering and medicine, soft skills such as communication, discussion, and debate. These are integral part of our undergraduate program. Therefore, as part of holistic education, students pursuing various courses, programs at higher education institutions shall be provided internship opportunities in local business, industry, artists, and craft persons. Therefore, internship or hands-on training is an integral part of all educational programs, including arts education. Therefore, if we train them in political science or economics or its history, hereafter there are avenues in government offices, send them to bank, send them to business houses, send them to various other organizations where they train them in all these things. There will also be research opportunities. There should be a strong interaction between academia and industry. Therefore, the industrial experts or business house experts should be integral part of our board of studies, faculties, and academic councils. So that what we have to find out academic institutions or higher education institutions, find out from them what they need, what are the requirements. Let us try to train our graduate, our youth, all-round personality with those skills so that they are employable. Then the moment the industries, business houses, banks, or other organizations come to know that you are producing relevant graduates, they will come to you. They will ask you what to prepare. That is how our interaction get intensified. Therefore, our efforts should be in that direction. Here, I have only illustrated how 3 years degree looks like, how 4 years degree looks like, how Your 3 years degree, independent 3 years degree, 3 years or 4 years undergraduate degree, they are almost the same. Therefore, there won't be much difference between the two. They can be, the subjects can be taught in the same classroom. Only difference here, there will be fourth year also in the 4 years degree program. Therefore, your 3 years degree will be the exit option after 3 years. That's all the difference. Therefore, you can use different permutations and combinations. Then, depending on whether you train a 3 years program or 4 years undergraduate program, you'll have 2 years master's program or 1 year master's program. Therefore, in the 4 years undergraduate program, the fourth year there will be research component. Therefore, in 2 semesters master program, there will not be any project work. Okay, therefore, that is not mandatory. Whereas in 2 years master's degree, you will have a research component in the second year. By chance, if they want to exit after first year, you have to suitably shift for those who exit in place of some papers. You have to shift the project work in the second year to the first year of the 2 years master degree so that they can exit with 4 years undergraduate degree. Okay, so that they can go to the PhD program. Okay, that is how you can work out all these things. You'll have the complete freedom. Then I said how the eligibility for PhD 4 years bachelor degree with research component are also eligible for PhD in addition to 2 years master degree holders. Therefore, one can start multidisciplinary education research universities. These MEROs are virtually research intensive universities. Okay, they should also offer holistic and multidisciplinary education at par with IITs and IIMs. That is how our Indian Institute of Science offers undergraduate, 4 years undergraduate programs. They offer in subjects like physics, chemistry, botany, zoology, biotechnology, etc. In addition to that, in interdisciplinary subject also, they offer 4 years undergraduate program like physical science, chemical science, mathematical science, and computational science, etc. Okay, depending on the need, you can think of those things. Then what are these, as I mentioned, educational transformations? NEP virtually wants to transform Indian higher education system. Okay, what are these things? They can pick teachers and timings, flexibility and quality. He may choose any paper of his liking. He may choose only the quality one. If he thinks that the course offered in the classroom campus is not useful, he may not take that. He may take online course that's available in MOOCs. Therefore, if we make our course interesting, then you can do it. We can also share the resources with a neighboring institution. Therefore, you can have a cluster of institutions retaining the independency, autonomy. You can offer something in where you have expertise, then other institution can offer some other courses where they have expertise. Your students can go there, their students can come here, there will be credit transfer. Therefore, the candidate has to earn 50% of the credits in that institution. Remaining 50%, it is up to them. Therefore, the admission that you have to make, not only for the programs, but also paper-wise, sometimes you have to make admissions. You remember, for repeaters, we take the fees for the entire semester or piece-wise subjects. Likewise, your admission will also be for the entire program, undergraduate program, or some of the courses in that, I mean papers in those programs. That is what you have to do it. Therefore, need and interest-based one you have to do it. Student centricity. Therefore, he can design his degree. As I said, he may take a degree in physics or chemistry or commerce and management, microbiology, biotechnology, or artificial intelligence or data science, etc. Or he may also go in for material science, physical science, chemical science, computational science, interdisciplinary, depending on the need, depending on the requirement. Then the industries may come to you, offer a degree with this combination. They may support these things. Then you should be in a position to offer it. Therefore, because of this blended learning, you need not have to have 100% faculty. If you have 50 to 60% of faculty, remaining 40 to 50%, they can be guest faculty, visiting faculty, or experts from the industry and business houses offering for various programs. That sort of flexibility you will have. Study through any mode. It need not have to be just on the campus offline mode. It can be online mode, distance mode, everything. And even during the 60% offline mode, there can be blended learning. Some percent of it may be in virtual mode. All these flexibilities students enjoy. Then just as we deposit our money in bank, we can also, one can earn a credit, take a course somewhere, earn those credits, deposit in a academic bank of credits. Okay, then he can go on doing it. What ultimately to get the degree or certificate, diploma or undergraduate basic degree, what he has to do, depending on how many credits he has earned, he has stored, he has collected, he has in his accounts, he can redeem them to get the certificate or diploma or a basic 3 years degree or 4 years honor degree in a subject or a master's degree. Therefore, what about the validity of the currency? Depend on the subject. If it is a basic regular subject, the currency may be valid for a longer duration. Like if it is an artificial intelligence and other things, then there may be fast changing. Therefore, whatever you have studied this year may not be valid for after 4 or 5 years. Then you may have to retake the course. All these things will be there. Therefore, Bachelor of Liberal Education or Liberal Studies, maybe Bachelor of Science degree, undergraduate degree, Bachelor of Arts degree, Bachelor of Commerce degree, Bachelor of Business Administration degree, basic degree or honors degree. Okay, likewise one can do it. Convert credits into degrees and diplomas, depending on how many credits he has earned in his accounts. The notional educational currency broken. Study in any national or international institutions. Only requirement, as I have mentioned, he has to have earned 50% of credits in that, and he has to fulfill National Higher Education Qualification Framework, where they may prescribe these many credits he must have earned to get a 4 years honor degree in that subject. Remaining, you can earn any other subject. Therefore, these online courses would be only in subjects without practicals. Subject without practicals, probably it would be very difficult to do that. And then there will be any subject combinations. No specialization broken. One may take physics, take music, he may take history, he may take geography. Therefore, no binding on it. Now in PCM, to study physics, mathematics is mandatory. Now there is nothing like that. He can choose physics independently. Whatever mathematics he needs to study physics, he has to study as part of physics or as generic elective. Some paper in mathematics he can take. Therefore, in any subject, what a particular board of studies in that subject has to do is to prescribe contents for papers for a subject as a major discipline, papers for a subject as a minor. Also, you have to prescribe certain papers. In minor subject, you have to bring in 2-3 fields, combine paper. Whereas in major discipline, you have to have independent papers. Likewise, you have to offer different papers. Therefore, if the candidate gets a degree in a major discipline, 4 years degree, eventually he or she makes up their mind, his or her mind, to get a degree in some other discipline. He must have studied some courses in other discipline. If he makes up the remaining lacuna, whatever the eligibility that is fixed, then he will be eligible. He need not have to do the master's degree in the same subject or PhD in the same subject. That is the freedom or the flexibility the candidate enjoys. Therefore, this is ABC building blocks is the academic bank of credit building blocks. The whole system is summarized in this. And what are the advantages of blended learning? All these things. If you want, I can send you my PPT. You can glance through it. I don't have time. Therefore, I am quickly going through these things. And then what are the advantages of it? How it prepares students for future through research skills, self-learning, self-engagement, helps to develop self-driving force, better decision-making, offers a large sense of responsibility, computer literacy. Okay. Then what is the Indian way of blended learning? We use the word IPSIT model. We use it. What the IPSIT stands for? I stands for identify resources and learner-centered activities. P stands for provide sources, allow activities on learner management system. S stands for scaffolding and support to learners. I stands for identification of learning gaps and feedback. T stands for testing. That is our BL model, blended learning model. Therefore, it has certain advantages and other things. I skip all these things. If you are interested in it, I can send it to the principal. You can all share. Then I go back to the other presentation. I just go back and use the other one. 1 second, please. I don't know whether you can see this.
It is visible, sir. It is visible.
It is visible, right?
Yes.
Okay. What are the, can you see this background and objectives?
Yes, sir.
Okay. This is the whole concept of it. Our education must be based on 5 core universal values: truth, righteous conduct, peace, love, non-violence, which represent 5 domains of personality: intellectual, physical, emotional, psychological, and spiritual. They also represent 5 major objectives of education: knowledge, skill, balance, vision, identity. Therefore, all these things should be interconnected. Let me not go into the details of it. As I've already told you, I will pass on my PPT. For want of time, I skip these things. The world is undergoing rapid changes in knowledge landscape. Therefore, that is with the various dramatic scientific and technological advances, such as the rise of big data, machine learning, and artificial intelligence, many unskilled jobs worldwide may be taken over by machines. Therefore, the need for skilled force, particularly involving mathematics, computer science, and data science, in conjunction with multidisciplinary abilities across the sciences, social sciences, humanities, will be increasingly in greater demand. Therefore, for these things, we have to prepare our youths. Therefore, employment, as I have already mentioned, the employment landscape is changing. Global ecosystem is changing. It is becoming increasingly critical that children not only learn how to learn. Therefore, education must move towards less content and more towards learning about how to think critically and solve problems, how to be creative and multidisciplinary, how to innovate, adopt, and absorb new material in novel and changing fields. Pedagogy must evolve to make education more experiential, holistic, integrated, inquiry-driven, discovery-oriented, learner-centered, discussion-based, flexible, and of course enjoyable. Therefore, the curriculum must include basic arts, crafts, humanities, games, sports and fitness, languages, literature, culture and values, in addition to science and mathematics, to develop all aspects and capabilities of learners and make education more well-rounded and useful and fulfilling to the learner. Education must build character, enable learners to be ethical, rational, compassionate, and caring, while at the same time prepare them for gainful, fulfilling employment or make them entrepreneurs. Okay, what is needs to be done? We have to bridge the gap between the current state of learning outcome and what is actually required in the present day world. It can be done only through undertaking major reforms. Okay, that bring to the highest quality, equity, and integrity into the system. From it's not only at higher education level, from early childhood care and education through higher education. Therefore, NEP 2020 proposes The revision and revamping of all aspects of education structure, regulation, and governance to create a new system aligned with aspirational goals of 21st century education, including SDG 4 based on India's traditions and value systems. It lays particular emphasis on the development of the creative potential of each individual. It is based on the principle that education must develop both the foundational capacities of literacy and numeracy and higher order cognitive capacities, such as critical thinking, problem solving, etc. I have already mentioned these things. These education, what are these? Heritage, Indian history, eternal Indian language, and thought. It has been the guiding spirit, light for the policy. Like that is what you have to incorporate. Then what we have to do? We have to recognize, identify, foster the unique capabilities of each student according to the highest priority to achieve foundational literacy and numeracy. Flexibility, no art separation, multidisciplinarity and holistic education, emphasis on conceptual understanding, creativity and critical thinking. These should be our mantras. Ethics and human and constitutional values, promoting multilingualism and the power of language, life skills, that is communication, cooperation, teamwork. These are as important as disciplinary knowledge, subject knowledge. Focus on regular formative assessment for learning, extensive use of technology, respect for diversity and the local context. Therefore, although in a way COVID-19 is a curse, but it is a boon in the other direction in technology integration. We are forced to integrate this. Therefore, it has made us to think in that direction. It has made us how we have no alternative but to go in for it. Then full equity and inclusion. There should not be any exclusion. Synergy in curriculum across all levels of education. Teachers and faculty are as the art of the learning process. Light but tight regulatory framework. Therefore, inspection Raj would disappear. You have to have transparent disclosure on your website. Therefore, unless one proved to be a criminal, we have to treat him as a gentleman or gentlewoman or gentle person. Therefore, that is the concept that will be adopted. Therefore, through resource efficiency of the education system, through audit and public disclosures, while encouraging innovation and out-of-the-box ideas, out-of-the-box thinking through autonomy, good governance, and empowerment. No commercialization of education. Education is treated as a service. Outstanding research, continuous review, and we have to be assessed. There should be rootedness and pride in India. Education is a public service. There should be substantial investment in strong and vibrant public education system that has to be practiced. That is the reason why NEP recommends 6% GDP has to be spent on higher education. Therefore, this is what so many things it expects. For want of time, I skip. Well-sourced, multidisciplinary, mentioned all three types of institution, flexible curricular structure, creative combinations of study, multiple entry and exit options, strong focus on equity and inclusion, empowered governance autonomy of higher education institutions. Okay, light, but I mentioned all these things. Move towards holistic multidisciplinary undergraduate education, revamping curriculum, pedagogy, etc. I mentioned, multiple entry and exit option, flexible and innovative curricula, reimagining vocational and teacher education, and employability of graduates. All these things you have to build in 3 years or 4 years degree, integrate vocational into general education, integrate professional education into general education, integrate teacher education into general education, academic bank of credits, allow fast track and slow track, effective learning requirement, and our curriculum must be interesting and enjoyable. We must adopt high quality pedagogy. Assessment methods must be scientific. We have to promote creativity, and faculty development program should be there. We have to allow faculty to innovate, provide enough resources, and encourage them, motivate them. Then the CBS system will be reviewed to suit to the present day requirement. There are teacher education. I don't have time. Let me not go into the details of these things because as I've already mentioned, in teacher education, the 4 years degree, one must have a 4 years teacher education degree to become a teacher, even at the lowest entry level of school education. That is the requirement. Then how do you frame your structure for an undergraduate education, whether it is first year, 3 years degree or 4 years undergraduate degree, or 1 year master degree or 2 years master degree. What you have to do it, you have to frame the curricular structure for 5 years degree and master's program. Split it into 3+2 or 4+1, rearrange, transform from one to the other part. Therefore, one can take a major, take one minor. Okay, one can take a major and 2 minors, or one can take 2 subjects concurrently, continue up to 3rd year. Then choose one of them to become get an honors degree in one of the subjects. If he decides to get another degree in the 2nd subject also, he can repeat 1 year, get the other degree also. This will be the case when one takes the subject and teacher education subjects. Then he can get the degree in subject as well as teacher education. If one takes discipline and vocational subject at the same level, then one can get the degree in discipline in the subject as well as in a vocational degree. Okay, in engineering degree, one can take engineering subject and management. Therefore, he can take management aspects as well engineering subject apart from others, go up to 3rd year, get the degree in engineering and repeat another one, get the degree in management, or he can decide to get the management degree. All these flexibilities students enjoy, higher education institutions enjoy, the faculty enjoy. That is, it is up to you to innovate. It is up to you to produce, train the employable, all-round personality graduates, employable graduates. Therefore, whatever I have given you option, 2 major disciplines, 3rd option I have given. Therefore, your 4th and 5th option is virtually the special case of option 3 itself. Okay, 2 major disciplines. Instead of taking 2 subjects, one may take 1 subject, 1 teacher education. The other one may take 1 subject, another management. Another one may take 1 subject and 1 vocational subject. Therefore, that is how we have to, for all these things, languages in different form in 4 semesters is mandatory. And your on ethics and moral science, those things are compulsory. And constitution and human rights compulsory. Environmental studies compulsory. Co-curricular activities compulsory. And the culture and critical thinking and other things, these will be part and parcel of all programs. Therefore, apart from it, you have to fit into these things. Therefore, while framing this, what you have to keep it in mind, in the first 2 semesters, at the end of first year, at the end of 2 semesters, candidate gets the certificate degree. Therefore, whatever you teach in the first 2 semesters would be mostly general skills. Therefore, the subject would be very little. So that if the candidate exits out of compulsion, he or she must be eligible to get some employment, maybe bench clerk or 2nd division clerk elsewhere. Therefore, eventually the government would also amend recruitment rules. Therefore, we have to train them. Therefore, they have to be complete in himself. There should not be capsule in themselves. Whatever papers you offer, the skill enhancement course you offer in first 2 semesters. When you come to the 2nd year, the subject component would increase a little bit, and you continue to have these general aspects in 3rd and 4th semester. At the end of the 2nd year or 4th semester, exits with out of compulsion if need be, with a diploma. Then you should be in a better position, employable. That's what you have to do. When you come to 3rd year, you would concentrate on core major and minor in 3rd semester mostly. And in the 4th semester, you will mostly concentrate on core papers of major discipline and electives in that major discipline, I mean major subject. That's what I have indicated here. Okay. For want of time, I will not go into the details. And the one more thing I want to stress here is, I said less content, so that students should have free time for thinking, analysis, application of knowledge, data analysis to develop analytical mind. Therefore, you have to load has to be decreased. Therefore, the maximum of 22 credits you have to bear in mind. Maybe 1 or 2 credits that way, this way, because in the national pattern, there is no language in the 3rd and 4th semester. But here in Karnataka, we have no option but to incorporate language in 3rd and 4th semesters. Therefore, there may be little credit variation. Therefore, what you do is, you have 3 credit language courses in functional form in 3rd and 4th semesters, but for 4 hours. So 3 hours may be instructional hour, 1 hour may be tutorial. So that's how you decide about the curricular structure. We will also give you a model curricular structure. It is for you to totally change, totally innovate, totally revise it, refine it. Only curricular skeleton framework we would give. It is for you to change depending on the requirement. That is the reason I have mentioned, generally on an average of 20 credits per semester, or one may have 22 credits. That is the reason in the first year, 20 into 2 or 22 into 2. In the second year, it was 4 semester, 20 into 4 or 22 into 4. Whereas in the third year, 20 into 6 or 22 into 6. In the fourth year, 20 into 8 or 22 into 8. That's how we give. And in the other semester also only about 44 or 40 credits, around 40 plus credits in the 2 semester master's program. Okay, that's what we do it. That's what I have indicated. Then why we include all these things, what are the components, what purpose they serve, all these things I have listed. I will pass on this, you can read through. You need not have to worry about it. The only thing I stress, here I have included the language in the 3rd and 4th semesters as a skill course. It doesn't mean it doesn't have language. The language you have to include as a skill in the 3rd and 4th semesters. Language would be mandatory in the first 4 semesters. Therefore, in functional form. Therefore, I've also advised my language friends, they have to change. They have to undergo transformational change to make their language teaching very useful to the candidates. Okay, the students. Okay, how these purpose serve, I have given it. Therefore, based on this was little older, keeping 24 credits in mind, I have suggested, only thing as I have told, the language you have to brought in 3rd and 4th semesters. I have suggested these things, how you can distribute number of credits among major, minor, different aspects of components of the undergraduate program. What we expect in the first year, understanding and exploration. What you expect in second year, focus and immersion. What you expect in third year, real-time learning. What you expect in fourth year, deeper concentration that we expect. Okay, how I distribute this course, permutation, combination, that you can try. Okay. Then all these things, pedagogy and other things, I don't have time. I skip these things. You can just read through. Then what is the grading, etc. That's what only thing I want to change here. 9 to 10, 8 to 8.99, 7 to 7.99, 6 to 6.99. Therefore, 1 earn 70, he should get A. Therefore, 7.01 made. This I will amend. You can also amend it, or you can use the general pattern that is prevailing throughout the country. Then teacher education, etc. I don't have time to go into this. I've compared teacher education and general education, how these two are comparable. If you teach a subject in teacher education and in a general education, they have to be taught in a subject. Say if the same subject is taken in teacher education combination and discipline combination, that subject has to be taught in a combined class and the same content should be the same. Okay. Therefore, the subject content to the same extent they would study. Therefore, how this, I have given you 4 options there, right? 4 options. Your Virtually 4 and 5 is the special case of option 3. How these courses can be distributed, subject with practical, subject without practicals I have shown. And then again, how these things come, a number of papers you can consider. Keeping 24 credits I have done it, you may have to little lower them. And then how these things can be arranged, distributed among 8 semesters I have shown. This is for the first option, where one may take 1 major and 2 minors or generic electives. Okay, the second option similarly, how I can distribute among different components of undergraduate programs in the 4 years program I have seen. Okay, then how these things can be arranged in 8 semesters, scheduled in 8 semesters. I have shown it. Similarly, I have shown it for the third option, how many courses one can select for different components 4 years undergraduate program. How these can be scheduled in 8 semesters, I have shown. It's only a skeleton one I have shown. It can be refined, it can be improved, and innovative combination also you can come. If you have doubts, you can always ask me, what are the things, what are the difficulties you encounter? I can answer you. And the option 4 also, how I distribute among different components depending on the weightage, and how I schedule them different semesters I have shown all these things. That is how I have done it. Okay, this is what we should try to do it. The basically incorporating all the concepts of NEP to produce well-rounded, multidisciplinary, employable graduates, to produce them. Okay, the good citizens of the country. Therefore, with national pride and other things, with public awareness, respect for others, that is what we intend to do it. And everything would be in your hands. We can only say what needs to be done. The state or the center may say these things are to be done, but everything would be in your hands. This can only be done only when we become competitive, when we become knowledge, when we equip ourselves, when we graduate ourselves in a particular subject, then only we'll be capable of effectively deliver a particular course, so that to make it interesting to a present day graduate. I'm confident at your college, you can do it, you can deliver it, you can produce the employable, well-rounded graduates. I thank you for an opportunity given to me or to share my views, share my points with you, and for an opportunity to interact with you. I thank the principal, the vice principal, heads of departments, directors of various schools, faculty, the teaching fraternity, and the members of the management committee. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, sir. We have a few
Thank you.
questions, if you can accommodate them.
Yeah, probably in 5. I have been asked to meet the minister after 4 o'clock.
Okay, okay.
Because I had to leave there to come here. Yes.
Okay,
Then
okay, sir.
send. Yeah, please.
Sir, there is one question. Deepthi, shall I read? It is in
Yes, ma'am.
Kannada.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
please, no problem.
ಆ 3 ಇಯರ್ ಡಿಗ್ರಿ ಕೋರ್ಸಿನಲ್ಲಿ 1, 2, 3 ಮತ್ತು 4ನೇ ಸೆಮಿಸ್ಟರ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಟೀಚ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. NEP ನಲ್ಲಿ 4 ಇಯರ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಕೋರ್ಸ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಸೆಮ್ 1 ಇಯರ್ಗೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ಕನ್ನಡ ಭಾಷೆಯನ್ನು ಪರಿಗಣಿಸಿರುವುದು ಕನ್ನಡಕ್ಕೆ ಅವಮಾನ ಮಾಡಿದ ಹಾಗೆ ಅಲ್ಲವೇ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ.
ನಾನು ನಿಮಗೆ ಪೂರ್ತಿ ಈಗಾಗಲೇ ಹೇಳಿದೆ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾನು ಪ್ರಾರಂಭದಲ್ಲೇ ಹೇಳಿದೆ, ಕನ್ನಡ ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜು 4 ಸೆಮಿಸ್ಟರ್ನಲ್ಲೂ ಸೇರಿಸ್ತೀವಿ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜನ್ನು 4 ಸೆಮಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಂದ ಎಲ್ಲೂ ರಿಮೂವ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. ಬಟ್ ನೀವು ಟೀಚ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟಿವಿಟಿ ಟೀಚ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಕ್ರಿಟಿಕಲ್ ಥಿಂಕಿಂಗ್ ಟೀಚ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಆ ಡಿಬೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಕಮ್ಯುನಿಕೇಷನ್ ಟೀಚ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಲೇಷನ್ ಹೇಗೆ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನು ಟೀಚ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಯಾವುದೋ ಒಂದು ಕಾದಂಬರಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಅದ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕ್ವಶನ್, ಅದನ್ನು ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ಹಾಗೆ ಓರಿಯೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಅವರ್ ಮಿನಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಮೇಡ್ ಇಟ್ ವೆರಿ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್. The language will be taught in the first 4 semesters, both English and Kannada. Let there not be any doubt and apprehensions.
ಸರ್, ಅವ್ರು ಏನ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ಸರ್ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಕನ್ನಡವನ್ನ 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ಸೆಮಿಸ್ಟರ್ ನಲ್ಲೂ ಕನ್ನಡವನ್ನ ಕಡ್ಡಾಯವಾಗಿ ಮಾಡುವಂತ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನವನ್ನ ಮಾಡಿ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಸರ್.
ಅದೇನಂದ್ರೆ, ನೀವು ಕನ್ನಡನೇ ಟೀಚ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ, ಲಿಟ್ರೇಚರ್ನಲ್ಲೇ ಒಂದು ಡಿಗ್ರಿ ಕೊಡೋದಾದ್ರೆ, ನೀವು 10 ಸೆಮಿಸ್ಟರ್ನಲ್ಲೂ ಟೀಚ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಿ, ಅದನ್ನ ಯಾರು ತಡೆಯೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ನಿಮ್ಮ ಕ್ಯಾಂಡಿಡೇಟ್ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಕನ್ನಡನ ಕನ್ನಡ ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜ್ ಆಗಿ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಲೆಟ್ ಮಿ ಆನ್ಸರ್. ಅವನು ಕ್ಯಾಂಡಿಡೇಟ್ ಒಂದು ಮೈನರ್ ಆಗು ಕನ್ನಡ ತಗೊಳ್ಬಹುದು, ಮೇಜರ್ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಕನ್ನಡನ ಮೈನರ್ ಆಗು ತಗೊಳ್ಬಹುದು. ಆವಾಗ ಇದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಇಂಟ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ. ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜ್ ಆಗಿ ಇಂಟ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡುವಾಗ 4 ಸೆಮಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಹಾಕೋದೇ ಕಷ್ಟ ಇದೆ. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಪ್ಯಾಟರ್ನ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಫಸ್ಟ್ 2 ಸೆಮಿಸ್ಟರ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತ್ರ ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜ್ ಇದೆ. ಕೆಲವು ಡೆಲ್ಲಿ ಯೂನಿವರ್ಸಿಟಿ ಕಡೆ ಓನ್ಲಿ 2 ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜ್ ಕೋರ್ಸಸ್, ಅದಕ್ಕೊಂದು ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು 4 ಸೆಮಿಸ್ಟರ್ ನಲ್ಲೂ ಕನ್ನಡವನ್ನ ಉಳಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ತಿದ್ದೀವಿ. 5 ಮತ್ತೆ 6ನೇ ಸೆಮಿಸ್ಟರ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಕನ್ನಡ ತರ್ಲಿಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. ನೀವು ಮೈನರ್ ಆಗಿ ಇಂಟ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ, ಯಾವುದೇ ಒಬ್ಬ ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿನ ಮೋಟಿವೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಅವನು ಮೈನರ್ ಆಗಿ 5th and 6th ಸೆಮಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಸ್ಟಡಿ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ನಾಟ್ ಎಸ್ ಎ ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜ್, ನಾಟ್ ಎಸ್ ಎ ಫಂಕ್ಷನಲ್ ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜ್, but as a minor he can study up to the 6th semester. As a major, of course, he can go up to 10th semesters.
ಓಕೆ ಸರ್, ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಅವರು ತಮಗೆ ಧನ್ಯವಾದ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ.
Thank you.
ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಪ್ರಕಾಶ್ ರಂಜೇರೆ ಅಂತ. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಸರ್.
Thank you.
Sir, one last question, sir.
Yeah,
One of the participants has asked what will be the nomenclature for the course once it has become multidisciplinary.
Nomenclature for the post, you mean?
For the course, sir, once it becomes multidisciplinary.
I said it is multidisciplinary. Eventually, he has to specialize in a subject. Eventually, in the 4th year, we are giving a degree in a subject, either in physics or chemistry or management or commerce, history, economics, etc. Eventually, it has to be multidisciplinary up to 3rd year. 4th year, he will specialize in a discipline. Therefore, even that discipline would continue in masters and PhD. Therefore, that discipline would remain. In addition to the discipline, around 50% of the credits he has to study in that discipline. The remaining 50% would be multidisciplinary. It is to produce well-rounded personality, graduate.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir.
It is not last. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We are indeed grateful to you for joining us today despite your tight schedule, and you have simplified and told the implications of NEP to us in such a lucid manner, sir. We are truly grateful to you for that.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Very kind of you for the opportunity. I appreciate.
I'm sure we all
all
agree.
the best.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you, madam. Thank you.
I'm sure we all agree that the essence of every beautiful thing, all great souls, is gratitude. I sincerely thank our patron, Sri SNVL Narasimha Raju, and I extend my sincere gratitude and appreciation to the heart and soul of today's webinar, our speaker, Professor B. Thimmegowda, for sparing his precious time. Sir, your patience and eagerness to solve all the queries is truly commendable.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, sir. I humbly thank Dr. Kavya Shri, Dr. Bharti S, and Professor Gayatri Sudhir for providing such a stimulating platform for all of us. To heads of various departments, all my delegates, and my heartfelt appreciation for their support in making this webinar a fruitful and enriching experience. I hope you all will join us for our future deliberations on NEP as well. Thank you, sir. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, madam.
I request participants to give their feedback in the link that has been provided in the chat box. Your feedback is
Okay.
valuable to us.
Okay. Thank
Thank you,
you.
sir.
Thank you.
We'll keep the session open for another 5 minutes so that you can all access the feedback link. Please do fill it up.